I didn't know his name. My name is Lola. We shared one night. No names. No numbers. Monday morning, he walked into my classroom. He looked at me like he owned me. Let me tell you how it all started. I am 22 years old. I live in a big city. The city is very beautiful, but it is very busy. It is loud. There are many cars. There are many people. Sometimes I feel very small in this big city. Do you ever feel small? It is a normal feeling. I am a university student. I study business. School is very hard. I have to read many big books. I have to write long papers. I also have a job. I work in a small bakery. I sell bread. I sell cakes. I make coffee for people. I work very hard because I have to pay for my small apartment. My life is work and school. Work and school. Every day is the same. I wake up. I go to the bakery. I go to school. I come home. I sleep. I was very tired. I needed a break. I needed to do something fun. I have a best friend. Her name is Sarah. Sarah is very funny. She loves to laugh. She loves to dance. One Friday night, Sarah called me on my phone. Lola, she said, you work too much. You study too much. Tonight, we are going out. We are going to a bar. You need to relax. I did not want to go. I was tired. My feet hurt from standing at the bakery. But Sarah is a good friend. I listened to her. I said, okay, I will go. I took a shower. I washed my hair. I looked in my closet. I found a red dress. It was a simple dress, but it was very pretty. I put it on. I put on a little makeup. I looked in the mirror. I felt good. It is important to feel good about yourself. You are beautiful, remember that. Sarah and I met at a bar called the Blue Moon. It was a nice place. The lights were low. The music was soft. It was not too loud. People were talking and laughing. I felt relaxed. I felt happy. Sarah saw some friends. She went to talk to them. I went to the bar to get a drink. I ordered a glass of water with lemon. I sat on a tall chair. I looked at the people. Then a man sat next to me. I looked at him. He was very handsome. He had dark hair. He had kind, brown eyes. He wore a white shirt and a dark jacket. He looked very clean and smart. He looked at me and smiled. His smile was warm. Hello, he said. His voice was deep and soft. Hello, I answered. It is a nice night, he said. Yes, it is, I said. We started talking. It was very easy to talk to him. Sometimes, talking to a stranger is hard. You do not know what to say. But with him, it was different. We talked about the city. We talked about music. We talked about our favorite food. He told me he liked Italian food. I told him I liked sweet cakes from my bakery. He laughed. His laugh made me smile. We talked for 2 hours. We did not stop. We forgot about the time. We forgot about the other people in the bar. It was just him and me. Do you want to walk outside? He asked. The air is nice. Yes, I said. We walked out of the bar. The night air was cold. I shivered. He saw me shiver. He took off his dark jacket. He put it around my shoulders. The jacket was warm. It smelled like nice cologne and fresh rain. "Thank you," I said. "You are welcome," he said. We walked down the quiet street. The city was sleeping. The stars were in the sky. We stopped walking. We looked at each other. The moment was very quiet. He moved closer to me. I did not move away. I wanted him to be close. He touched my face with his hand. His hand was warm and gentle. Then he kissed me. It was a beautiful kiss. It was soft. It was perfect. I closed my eyes. I felt very happy. My heart beat fast. Thump, thump, thump. For the first time in a long time, I did not think about work. I did not think about school. I only thought about him. After a minute, we pulled away. We looked at each other. Suddenly, I heard a car. It was a yellow taxi. It stopped near us. I looked at the time on my phone. It was very late. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I had to work at the bakery the next day. I panicked. I had to go home. "I have to go," I said. "I am sorry." I took off his jacket. I gave it back to him. "Wait," he said. "Please stay." "I cannot. I have to work early," I said. I opened the door of the taxi. I got inside. I closed the door. I looked at him through the window. He looked sad. The taxi drove away. I sat in the taxi. I touched my lips. I smiled. But then I realized something. I realized a big mistake. I did not know his name. He did not know my name. I did not have his phone number. He did not have my phone number. We shared one beautiful night. But now it was over. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I made a mistake. I was too fast. I was too scared. It is okay to be scared sometimes. But fear made me run away. The weekend was very long. Saturday morning, I woke up early. I went to the bakery. The smell of bread was nice. I worked all day. I smiled at the customers. I gave them coffee. I gave them cakes. But my mind was not at the bakery. My mind was on the dark street. My mind was on the warm jacket. My mind was on the handsome man. Sarah came to the bakery. "Lola, where did you go last night?" she asked. "I went home," I said. "Did you meet someone?" she asked. She smiled a big smile. "Yes," I said. "I met a man. He was wonderful. But I left. I do not know his name." Sarah looked sad. "Oh, Lola, why did you run away?" "I don't know," I said. "I was afraid." "Maybe you will see him again," Sarah said. "The city is big, but sometimes the world is small." I hoped she was right. I really hoped she was right. Sunday came. It was my day off. I stayed in my apartment. I cleaned my floors. I washed my clothes. I studied for my classes. The new semester was starting on Monday. I had a new business class. I needed to prepare. I opened my books. I read the pages, but the words on the pages were blurry. I kept thinking about his brown eyes. I kept thinking about his deep voice. "Stop it, Lola," I told myself. You will never see him again. You must focus on school. You must focus on your future. I closed my book. I went to sleep. Monday morning arrived. The alarm clock rang at 7 o'clock. Beep, beep, beep. I turned it off. I got out of bed. The room was cold. The sky was gray. It was going to rain. I went to the kitchen. I made hot tea. I ate a piece of toast with butter. I packed my bag. I put my notebooks inside. I put my pens inside. I wanted to look nice for the first day of classes. I chose a blue shirt and black pants. I brushed my hair. I looked in the mirror. I took a deep breath. You can do this, I said to myself. It will be a good day. I walked out of my apartment. I walked to the bus stop. I waited for the bus. The bus was late. The rain started to fall. It was light rain. I held my umbrella. The bus came. I got on the bus. It was full of people. Many students were going to the university. I found a seat near the window. I watched the city go by. I arrived at the university. The campus was very big. There were many tall buildings. There were green trees. There were students everywhere. They were talking. They were laughing. They were drinking coffee. I looked at my paper. My first class was business management. It was in room 304. I walked up the stairs. I found room 304. I walked inside. It was a large room. There were many desks, maybe 50 desks. I like to sit in the middle. I do not like the front. I do not like the back. The middle is safe. I found a desk in the third row. I sat down. I put my bag on the floor. I took out my notebook and my pen. More students came in. The room became loud. Everyone was talking. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 9 o'clock. The class was starting. The door opened. The room became very quiet. A man walked in. He held a leather bag. He wore a dark suit and a blue tie. He walked to the front of the room. He put his bag on the big desk. He turned to the whiteboard. He picked up a marker. He wrote his name on the board. Professor Mark Thomas. He put the marker down. He turned around to face the class. My heart stopped. The air left my lungs. My hands began to shake. It was him, the man from the bar. The man with the dark hair and the kind, brown eyes. The man who gave me his jacket. The man who kissed me on the cold street. He was my new professor. I could not move. I stared at him. I wanted to hide under my desk. I wanted to run out of the door, but I could not move. I was frozen. He looked at the students. He scanned the room. He looked at the first row. He looked at the second row. He looked at the third row. His eyes stopped on me. He saw me. His face did not change. He did not smile. He did not look surprised. But his eyes were intense. They were very dark. He looked at me. He looked at me for a long time. He did not look away. The other students did not notice. But I noticed. I felt hot. I felt cold. He looked at me like he owned me. Like he knew a secret, our secret. Then he blinked. He looked away. He looked at the whole class. "Good morning," he said. His deep, soft voice filled the room. The same voice from the bar. "My name is Professor Thomas. Welcome to business management." I put my head down. I looked at my notebook. I tried to breathe, in and out, in and out. My pen fell from my shaking hand. I picked it up. The class began. He talked about the rules of the class. He talked about the books we needed. He talked about the exams. He was a very good speaker. He was confident. He was smart. I tried to listen to his words, but I could only hear the sound of his voice. Every few minutes, I felt his eyes on me. I looked up. He was looking at me just for a second. Then he looked away. It was the longest hour of my life. Finally, the class was over. The clock showed 10 o'clock. "That is all for today," Professor Thomas said. "Please read Chapter 1 for Wednesday. Have a good day." The students stood up. They picked up their bags. They started to walk out of the door. I put my notebook in my bag. I zipped my bag very fast. I wanted to leave quickly. I did not want to speak to him. I was too embarrassed. I was his student. He was my teacher. This was very bad. I stood up. I walked toward the door. I kept my head down. "Miss Lola," a voice said. I stopped. My name. He knew my name. How did he know my name? I remembered. My name was on the class list. I turned around. He was standing by his desk. He was looking at me. "Please stay for a moment," he said. The last student walked out of the door. The door closed. The room was empty. It was just him and me, just like the street on Friday night. But this was different. This was a classroom. The lights were bright. I walked slowly to his desk. I stood in front of him. I looked at my shoes. "Look at me, Lola," he said softly. I lifted my head. I looked into his brown eyes. "I did not know," I said quickly. "I swear, I did not know you were a professor." "I know," he said. He sighed. He ran his hand through his dark hair. He looked tired. "I did not know you were a student. You did not tell me." "We did not tell each other anything," I said. "No names. No jobs." "You ran away," he said. His voice was a little sad. "I had to work," I said. "I am sorry." He stepped closer to me. I took a step back. I hit a desk behind me. "Lola," he said, "this is a big problem." "I know," I said. My voice was quiet. "The university has rules," he said. "Strict rules. A professor cannot have a relationship with a student. It is not allowed. If they find out, I will lose my job. And you could be expelled. You could lose your school." I felt a heavy weight in my stomach. I worked so hard to be at this university. I worked long hours at the bakery to pay for it. I could not lose my school. My future was very important. "I understand," I said. "We must forget about Friday night." He looked at me. His eyes were searching my face. "Can you forget?" he asked. "I have to," I said. "And you have to." He nodded slowly. "You are right. In this room, I am Professor Thomas. You are my student. We will be professional. We will follow the rules. Yes, Professor Thomas, I said. You may go, he said. I turned around. I walked to the door. I opened it. I walked out into the busy hallway. I did not look back, but my heart felt heavy. My chest hurt. I found something beautiful, and I had to throw it away. Life is not always fair. Sometimes, life is very hard. Have you ever had to give up something you wanted? It hurts. It really hurts. The weeks passed. Life became a difficult routine. Every Monday and Wednesday, I went to business management. I sat in the third row. I took notes. I listened to Professor Thomas. He was a great teacher. He was very smart. He explained things very clearly. The other students liked him very much. The girls in the class thought he was very handsome. They talked about him before class. Professor Thomas is so good-looking. A girl named Emily said one day. Yes, he is, another girl said. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. I sat in my chair. I looked at my book. I said nothing. But inside, I felt angry. I felt jealous. I did not like them talking about him, but I could not say anything. It was a secret. A big, heavy secret. During class, he was very professional. He called me Miss Lola. He answered my questions. He never smiled at me. He treated me like everyone else. But sometimes, when no one was looking, our eyes met. In those short seconds, the classroom disappeared. I saw the man from the bar. I saw the kind eyes. I felt the heat. Then he would look away. And I was just a student again. It was exhausting. It made me very tired. I decided to work harder. I wanted to be the best student in the class. I wanted to show him that I was serious. I did not want him to think I was just a silly girl from a bar. I wanted him to respect me. I stayed awake late at night. I read the big books. I wrote many notes. At the bakery, when there were no customers, I studied. Sarah saw me studying. Lola, you are working too hard, Sarah said. You look tired. I am fine, I said. I have a big class. I need an A. Is it the new professor? She asked. Is he mean? No, I said. He is not mean. The class is just hard. I did not tell Sarah the truth. I did not tell anyone. A secret is safe when only one person knows it. We had our first big exam. It was October. The leaves on the trees were red and yellow. The weather was cool. I walked to class. I felt nervous. I took the exam. The questions were difficult, but I knew the answers. I wrote and wrote. I finished the exam. I walked to his desk to give him the paper. He took the paper from my hand. His fingers brushed my fingers. Just a little touch. But it felt like fire. I looked up. He was looking at me. Good job today, Lola, he whispered. Very quietly, so no one could hear. Thank you, Professor, I whispered back. I walked out of the room. I smiled for the first time in weeks. The next week, he gave the exams back. I got an A+. I got the highest score in the class. He handed me my paper. He gave me a small, professional smile. I felt very proud. I proved myself. I was smart. I was strong. You can be strong too. When things are hard, you can work hard and win. But the feelings did not go away. In fact, they grew stronger. I liked him more because he was a good teacher. I liked his mind. I liked the way he talked about business. I liked the way he respected his students. He was a good man. One rainy Tuesday in November, I had a rare afternoon off from the bakery. I did not want to stay in my small apartment. It was too quiet. I decided to go to a small coffee shop near the university. It was a cozy place. There were books on the walls. It smelled like roasted coffee and cinnamon. I bought a hot chocolate. I sat at a small table by the window. I watched the rain fall on the street. It was very peaceful. I opened my laptop to do some homework. The bell on the door rang. A customer walked in. I looked up. It was Mark, Professor Thomas. He wore a long, dark coat. His hair was wet from the rain. He shook his umbrella. He walked to the counter. He ordered a black coffee. He paid the cashier. He turned around to find a seat. He saw me. He stopped. He stood in the middle of the coffee shop. He looked at me. I looked at him. The air felt thick. He slowly walked toward my table. "Hello, Lola," he said. His voice was low. "Hello, Professor Thomas," I said. He looked at the empty chair across from me. "May I sit down?" he asked. "Just for a minute." I looked around. There were no students from our class here. We were far from the university buildings. "Yes," I said, "you may sit." He sat down. He took off his coat. He put his hands around his hot coffee cup. He looked out the window. Then he looked at me. "How are you?" he asked. Not as a teacher, as a person. "I am okay," I said, "tired, but okay. How are you?" "I am tired too," he said. He gave a small laugh. "Teaching is hard work. Keeping secrets is harder." I looked down at my hot chocolate. "Yes, it is." "I see you working hard in class," he said. "Your exam was excellent." "You are very smart, Lola." "Thank you," I said. I felt my cheeks get warm. "Tell me about yourself," he said. "I do not know anything about you, except that you like the rain, and you leave in yellow taxis." I smiled. It felt good to smile with him. "I work in a bakery," I said. "I wake up very early. I sell cakes. I am studying business because I want to open my own bakery one day. A big bakery with the best bread in the city." He listened carefully. His eyes were focused on my face. "That is a wonderful dream," he said. "You have passion. Passion is important in business. You will be successful." "What about you?" I asked. I felt brave. "Why are you a professor?" "I used to work in a big office," he said. "I made a lot of money, but I was not happy. I did not like the greedy people. I wanted to help young people. I wanted to teach. So I left the big office. I came here. I love teaching." But he stopped. "But what?" I asked. He looked deep into my eyes. "But sometimes I hate the rules. My breath caught in my throat. I knew what he meant. He hated the rule that kept us apart. He reached across the small table. He did not touch my hand, but his hand was very close to mine. I could feel the warmth. "Lola," he said softly, "there are only 4 weeks left in the semester." "I know," I said. "4 weeks," he repeated. "After 4 weeks, the class is over. You will get your grade. You will no longer be my student." I looked at him. I understood. He was giving me hope. He was telling me to wait. 4 weeks, I said. The words tasted like a promise. He nodded slowly. He picked up his coffee cup. He stood up. He put on his dark coat. "Keep studying hard, Miss Lola," he said. His voice was professional again, but his eyes were warm. "I will, Professor Thomas," I said. He walked out of the coffee shop into the rain. I watched him go. My heart was completely full. The heavy weight in my stomach was gone. It was replaced by light, by hope. Waiting is very difficult. When you want something very much, time moves very slowly. Have you ever watched a clock? Tick, tock, tick, tock. The hands do not seem to move. The last 4 weeks of the semester were like that. Every day felt like a year. But I had a goal now. I knew what was at the end of the wait. I threw myself into my work. I baked bread with extra joy. I greeted the bakery customers with big smiles. Sarah noticed the change. "You look happy, Lola," Sarah said one morning. "Are you in love?" I laughed. "Maybe," I said, "maybe I am." In class, things were the same. But they were also different. When our eyes met now, there was no sadness. There was an understanding. A silent conversation. "Just wait," his eyes said. "I am waiting," my eyes answered. The final project was a big presentation. I had to stand in front of the whole class. I had to present a business plan. I chose to present a plan for my dream bakery. I prepared for weeks. I made beautiful slides on the computer. I practiced my speech in my bedroom. I practiced in the mirror. I wanted it to be perfect. The day of the presentation arrived. It was the 2nd week of December. It was snowing outside. White snow covered the campus. It was beautiful. I walked into room 304. I was nervous. My hands were cold. It is okay to feel scared, I told myself. Fear means you care. It was my turn. I stood up. I walked to the front of the class. I turned on my slides. I looked at the students. Then I looked at Mark. He was sitting at his desk. He held a pen. He looked at me with an encouraging expression. He nodded his head once. A tiny movement. Only for me. I started to speak. My voice was a little shaky at first. But then I found my confidence. I talked about my passion. I talked about quality ingredients. I talked about marketing and money. I spoke for 15 minutes. When I finished, the class clapped. Mark stood up. "Excellent presentation, Miss Lola," he said. His voice was full of pride. "Very detailed, very passionate. Well done." "Thank you, Professor," I said. I walked back to my seat. I felt like I was floating. I did it. I survived the hardest part. The very last day of the semester was the final exam. The room was very quiet. The only sound was pens writing on paper. Scratch, scratch, scratch. I read the questions. I wrote the answers. I knew everything. I was ready. I finished my exam. I was the last student in the room. Everyone else had finished and left. I stood up. I walked slowly to his desk. I placed my exam paper in front of him. He looked at the paper. Then he looked up at me. "This is it," he said quietly. "Yes," I said. "The class is over." "I will grade these tonight," he said. "The final grades will be posted online on Friday morning." "Okay," I said. We stood there. The silence was loud. We were still in the classroom. We were still teacher and student. The rules were still there. "Have a good winter break, Miss Lola," he said. He stood up. He offered me his hand to shake like a professional. I looked at his hand. I reached out. I put my hand in his. His grip was firm. His skin was warm. A jolt of electricity went up my arm. "Thank you for everything, Professor," I said. I let go of his hand. I walked out of the door. I walked out of the building. The cold winter air hit my face. I took a deep breath. It was over. The waiting was almost over. Wednesday passed. Thursday passed. Friday morning came. I woke up very early. I opened my laptop. My hands were shaking. I logged into the university website. I clicked on my grades. Business management, A+. I smiled. I did it. I earned my grade. I worked hard. No one gave it to me. I won. But the grade meant something else. It meant the class was officially closed. I was no longer a student in his class. The rule was gone. The barrier was broken. I picked up my phone. I wanted to call him. But I remembered. I did not have his number. He did not have my number. We never exchanged numbers. We only had the coffee shop and the classroom. How will I find him? Where will he be? Panic started to rise in my chest. Did I wait all this time for nothing? Then I remembered the first night, the beginning of the story. Friday night, the Blue Moon Bar. I worked my shift at the bakery. I was distracted all day. I dropped a loaf of bread. I forgot to put sugar in a coffee. My boss looked at me funny, but I didn't care. The hours went by so slowly. Finally, it was 6 o'clock. I went home. I took a shower. I looked in my closet. I found the red dress, the same red dress. I put it on. I brushed my hair. I looked in the mirror. I was older now. I was stronger now. I was ready. I did not call Sarah. I went alone. I walked into the blue moon. It looked the same. The lights were low. The music was soft. People were talking and laughing. I walked to the bar. I found the same tall chair. I sat down. I ordered a glass of water with lemon. I waited. I looked at the door. Every time it opened, my heart jumped. A group of girls walked in. An old man walked in. A couple walked in. It was 8 o'clock. He was not there. It was 9 o'clock. He was not there. I felt a lump in my throat. Maybe he forgot. Maybe it was just a game for him. Maybe I was stupid to believe in a fairy tale. Tears pricked my eyes. I looked down at my water. The ice was melting. "It's okay," I whispered to myself. "You are strong. You will be okay." I took my purse. I prepared to stand up. I prepared to go home and cry. Then I felt a familiar warmth next to me. A smell of nice cologne and cold winter air. I froze. I slowly turned my head. A man was sitting next to me. He had dark hair. He wore a white shirt and a dark jacket. He was looking at me with kind, brown eyes. "Hello," he said. His deep, soft voice washed over me like a warm wave. I let out a breath I was holding. A smile broke across my face. A huge, real smile. "Hello," I answered. He did not look like a professor tonight. He looked like the man from my dreams. The man who gave me his jacket. "It is a nice night," he said. "Yes, it is," I said. He leaned closer to me. The space between us was very small. There were no desks between us. There were no students watching. There were no rules stopping us. "My name is Mark," he said softly. "Mark Thomas. I do not want to be a stranger anymore." My heart soared. Thump, thump, thump. Fast and happy. "My name is Lola," I said. "Lola Davis. I don't want to be a stranger either." He reached out. He took my hand in his. He held it tightly. His thumb rubbed the back of my hand. It felt so right. It felt perfect. "Lola Davis," he tasted my name. "That is a beautiful name." "Thank you," I said. "I have a question for you, Lola," he said. "What is your question, Mark?" I asked. Using his first name felt strange, but wonderful. "Would you like to go on a real date with me?" he asked. No classrooms. No secrets. Just a man and a woman eating dinner, talking about life. I looked into his eyes. All the waiting, all the hard work, all the fear and the secrets. It was all worth it. The struggle made the reward so much sweeter. "Yes," I said. "I would love that very much." He smiled. It was the biggest, brightest smile I had ever seen on him. He brought my hand to his lips and kissed it gently. We sat at the bar for hours. We talked about everything. We talked about the hard weeks in the classroom. We laughed about how difficult it was to hide our feelings. He told me how proud he was of my final project. I told him how much I liked his teaching. We were no longer teacher and student. We were just Mark and Lola. When it was time to leave, we walked outside together. It was snowing lightly. The street was quiet. He wrapped his dark jacket around my shoulders, just like the first night. But this time, I didn't run away. I stayed. I stood close to him. He wrapped his arms around me. He kissed me under the falling snow. It was a kiss full of promise. A kiss that meant the beginning of a beautiful story. We waited for the right time. We respected the rules. We worked hard, and because we waited, our love was built on respect and truth. Sometimes life throws you a big surprise. Sometimes you meet someone and everything changes. It can be scary. It can be difficult. You might have to face challenges and rules. You might have to wait when you want to rush. But I want to tell you something important. Good things are worth waiting for. Hard work always pays off. If you have a dream, or if you find a love that feels right, do not give up. Be strong. Be patient. Follow the right path, even if it is the long path. I was just a girl working in a bakery, trying to pass my classes. I thought life was just work and sleep. But I found magic in a dark bar, and I found strength in a bright classroom. Now I have my university degree. I am working on opening my own bakery. And Mark, he is right beside me. He is my biggest supporter. He helps me with my business plans. He tastes all my new cakes, and he still looks at me like he owns my heart, because he does. You can find your happiness too. You can overcome your challenges. It is okay to be scared. It is okay to cry. But never stop trying. Keep going. The end of the struggle is often the beginning of something beautiful. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gives you hope. Keep dreaming. Keep working. And remember, sometimes the best things in life start with a simple hello to a stranger.